Paul, let's talk Tottenham. Emerson Royale has moved to AC Milan officially. It took a long time, but it's done. Tottenham are now interested in Vanderson from Monaco. What do you think the price will look like for that, and is that a good fit to kind of, be a rotation option for Pedro Porro?
Yeah, I think that's it. I think you hit the nail on the head there. It's a rotation option. I don't think he comes in and plays instead of Pedro Porro, but I think with Vanderson, the ability to play him in the right wing-back role as well and higher up in the midfield as well as a right-back. He's still only 23 years old. He's got a couple of caps for Brazil, and they're buying a good young player who would fit into the style of what Postecoglou wants, the high press. And I think the opportunity there for him to play three at the back with the wing-backs, what Vanderson would give him going forward as well. I don't think he'd be over costly coming out of Monaco, but I certainly see that as an area that Spurs will look to strengthen. Obviously with Emerson Royale gone, the centre-backs, if they can keep them all fit, won't be an issue. I still think they might go in for the centre-back, but covering the full-back areas is important. I mean, Udogie and Porro, when they play that high line, they've got the pace. When you look at the cover that they've got, Archie Gray at the moment is probably the only cover that they've got at right back. He played half a season there for Leeds, so he can do that again for Tottenham. At left back, you would worry if Ben Davis was the cover for Udogie when they're playing the high line. With his lack of pace, as he's been playing centre half for quite a lot of the season. So yeah, somebody like Vanderson would come in and he would fit the mould. But it's a tough sell because Spurs are in Europe, so there's going to be a lot of games. But the big games, if Pedro Porro's fit, he's going to play, isn't he?
He most definitely is. And you talk about Archie Gray. Obviously, Tottenham also brought in Lucas Bergvall, a couple of very young central midfielders. Bergvall, though, potentially going out on loan. So Tottenham might need another midfielder to come in, Pete. They've been linked with Manuel Locatelli, obviously, from Serie A. Conor Gallagher is one that's kind of been linked there for a long time after his Atletico Madrid transfer has collapsed. Could you see either of these two guys coming in as some central midfield reinforcement for Tottenham?
Yeah, I think Ange Postecoglou would like to bring in another central midfielder. As we've spoken on previous pods, myself and Paul, we just can't see any deal happening between Chelsea and Tottenham for Conor Gallagher. As much as Ange Postecoglou would love to sign the England international, we just don't see that happening between the clubs. Obviously, the Gallagher situation is a bit of a farce right now with the move to Atletico Madrid on hold and sort of the player in limbo until Atletico Madrid sells somebody. So he's probably sitting scratching his head right now thinking, where am I going to go? But I still think that deal might get done and Gallagher can make the move to Spain. Locatelli's an interesting one. A few years ago, I was a very big fan of Locatelli when he was at Juventus. He was part of that Italy squad that won the Euros when they beat England in the final a couple of years ago as well. Yeah, he's a good player. It hasn't worked out for him recently at Juventus, and it does seem Juventus would be willing to let him leave. For around £20 million. I think he could be a good replacement for somebody like Pierre-Emile Højbjerg, who obviously left Tottenham this summer to move to Marseille. But yeah, Locatelli can play in a couple of positions in midfield. He's got the height and the strength, I think, which would make it easy for him to adapt to the Premier League as well, I think. So, but he's got ability on the ball as well. He can pass balls between the lines. As I said, he's very good in the air. And as I said, I think we know how much success Tottenham have had in the past when they've been raiding Serie A. A lot of their signings have come from Italy in recent transfer windows due to the input of Fabio Paratici. So I think if Locatelli's on the market and you can land him for around £20 million or so, I think it could be a real shrewd piece of business if Spurs do follow up their interest in him.
Paul, you seem excited by that. I see you nodding your head a lot. You like that signing as well for Tottenham?
Yeah, he's a player. He's a real player. And he's a statement signing. Pete said there about Paratici's signings that they've had. The likes of Van der Ven, Vicario, Kulusevski, Bentancur, people coming out of Serie A. But Locatelli is one that obviously people know a lot about. 26 years old, his contract still runs till 2028, so it's not a cheap option. They're buying a decent player at a very good age out of his contract. Whether that means Bergvall goes out on loan, I don't think so. I think he's been brought in to be part of the first team squad this season. We've seen that in pre-season. I think he's going to have an impact. Not necessarily start many games, but I think he'll be part of the first team squad and a key part of the first team squad this season. But a player like Locatelli, for me, that's a statement signing. It's an upgrade on Basuma in that area. And Spurs have got a decent squad, and if you're going to sign players, they've got to be better than the ones that you've got. As we're speaking now, we've just seen that Spurs have suspended Basuma for one game after his off-the-field antics on social media, which I'm sure people will read about. So Basuma suspended for the game on Monday night against Leicester. So whether that's the breakdown of a relationship or the beginning of a breakdown of a relationship might just fuel more fire to this to the Locatelli rumours.